Hello and welcome to Barcelona, where we are looking at the Peugeot, or Peugeot, depending on where you're from, 408. This is gorgeous to look at. Obsession blue is the colour you want, but I kind of got up a bit too late and Obsession was gone, so I was left with white. Now, the GT version is €45,000 in Ireland. You'll know the GT version because it has a Peugeot badge on the side of it. Two numbers that you can remember for the car: 188 millimeters, because it has 188 millimeters of ground clearance and it has 188 millimeters extra knee room in the back of the car. And as you can see here, there is lots of room for your knees, so there's plenty of space in the back. Two USB-C charging ports also. And the sloping design of the car doesn't necessarily eat too much into your headroom. If you go for the PHEV version, because you can get a 1.2 petrol or a 1.6, 180 brake horsepower or 225 brake horsepower versions, quite a bit less boot space for the PHEV version. So 536 litres for the standard car, 471 litres for the PHEV version. Automatic tailgate if you go for the GT spec. By the way, the entry-level car, you get three options. Apparently no one in Ireland goes for the entry levels anymore, but you can get this car for €5 under 40 grand in the entry point. Now, if you do have the PHEV version, there is a little bit of space to put your cables in here, but not too much. And actually that flips back all the time. So there is a little bit of space here for your granny cable or your Type 2, whatever. That can go in there. And I feel like obviously the standard petrol version of the car will have a bit more depth in your boot. Parcel shelf is attached to this part of the car. It's not flexible. So a lot of cars these days, families of mine, are coming with a flexible shelf there, so that's rigid. The back of the car obviously is absolutely gorgeous. Like, Peugeot are on a roll with the looks of their cars these days. This one, it really does look like that Lamborghini, but it possibly is a bit more subjective just because the angles are really quite severe on it. Now, depending on what way you look at the back of it, it can look really, really good. Obviously, it depends on colour as well. I suppose one thing about white is it's showing you all the lumps and bumps around the car. This big, huge black plastic bumper, it'd probably be too much if it was all the one colour of the car. But like a bit of grey or something here wouldn't kill you, lads. I don't know, it just looks very black, very 90s bumper style. You'll have to get, what was that stuff called that used to get like black restore stuff that you rub into your bumpers and make them come back to life? Like, you'd be using that in the car. Lines and creases definitely are the name of the game. Here on the side of the car, creases over the bonnet. These are called, a very lovely accented French man told us, get ears. That's not even doing it justice. Get ears. So these here help with aerodynamics, apparently. I love the colour of these leather seats. They are really, really gorgeous. These marks on the grille are the same colour as the car. So here's more black plastic down there, but that's polished. Obviously the line claw is there, and the same with the back. It looks really, really striking. So it is a very good looking car, the 408. We've had quite a few of the new Peugeots on the channel at this stage. The 308 in particular is very, very similar to the inside of the 408. So you get the same tray areas here. And one thing that has changed, Peugeot used to be, I mean, you'd lose an arm down the centre armrest of a 3008, for example. It's much shallower now. So I don't know I know they've made the glove boxes bigger by taking the fuse box out of here. So I'm just wondering, is that the reason why there's less space now down here? But it's noticeably different. You still need to go into screen, like okay, so the shortcut buttons for your climate control, but equally you can also use buttons for things to navigate your way around also. And they're kind of they're haptic buttons. So you can use CarPlay on Android, mirror your screen of your phone and all that stuff. But yeah, there are still shortcut buttons down here. Steering wheel is still here. Depending on how low this is, that will prevent you. I like it low so I can see the dials, but then it's actually quite hard to get in and out of the bloody car because your knees are whacking off it. And if you raise it up, depending on how tall you are, and I'm nowhere near 6 foot, you'll block your view here. So I don't know what's the lesser of the two evils. Cruise control and everything is on your buttons here. I do still like the wheel, but yeah, the more I use this, I'm like, which is the better compromise? Lovely foot plate down here for your resting clutch foot. If you're in the manual, obviously in PHEV, that's not going to be the case. And yeah, it's lovely. It's well put together. You've got a focal sound system in the GT. Does that come as part of a pack, or do you have to spec that? I'll clarify that. So look, it's beautiful. It's well put together. It's very angular. Lots of lines. Seats, wonderful. I don't know if it is leather, but whatever they're making leather seats from these days, it's just as good, if not better. There's a lovely colour as well. It's kind of just the way the Peugeot logo is embossed into the leather headrest and everything. It's very, very nicely put together. So here behind the wheel of the 408 in the plug-in hybrid version, it can be very, very smooth, obviously, because you can be in full electric mode. You can force it into electric mode to get a range of somewhere between 50 and 60 kilometers thereabouts. Depends on your driving, depends if you're on a motorway or not. Nice that it only takes an hour and a half to charge us back to full battery though. And then you can obviously use hybrid mode, combination of petrol and electricity, and you can use sport mode, which just focuses more on petrol and giving you all that power. Now you'll have the total combined 225 brake horsepower going on if you are charged. So you've got a 1.6 petrol working with that 81 kilowatt motor. Handles very well. We've been on quite mountainous roads today, still on them now as well, and pushing into bends. It really is very, very composed, very little body roll. It's kind of a coupe sense going on behind the wheel of it. So it really feels there's a nice low centre of gravity going on. Fuel consumption, if you are using your electric combined with your petrol, you'll obviously be able to drive in zero emissions or very, very low, 1-2 litres per 100 kilometres. But driving kind of on a longer journey today in hybrid mode, still have some range in the battery, but it's hovering around sort of 6 litres per 100 kilometres. Put the MPG figure down for those watching in the UK at the bottom of the screen. People have asked for it, and I listen. I welcome feedback. So yeah, I mean, it feels very like the 308 to drive, to be honest with you, which is also a very, very enjoyable car to drive, to be behind the wheel of. You do kind of get a sense that it's nice the way everything is wrapped around you, but that also can limit the general space. So for example, they're going on about more knee room in the back of the car, and they definitely have improved the space in the interior for rear passengers, but actually you don't like your knees knocking off centric consoles and stuff and door handles. That may bother you, that there's not a huge amount of space, particularly for the driver. So it's kind of a cocooned feeling. If you like that, fine. If you don't, well, test it out for yourself and see what it's like for you. But it's a very well insulated car. There's very little of the outside world going on. It's really, really quiet. Even the tire noise is limited. The only thing, maybe a bit of noise over the A-pillars and motorway speeds, but beyond that, it's very, very quiet. I'm also not really getting a sense of kind of no man's land in the brakes at the initial point, where sometimes cars with any form of a battery, that first bit of regen can make it just feel a bit, are we stopping or not? But the brakes are good. Just on the battery also, you can charge the car using the petrol engine, so if you want to save some energy for later, don't want to use all your range, maybe you're driving on a motorway, you can be charging the car from the petrol engine as you drive. Obviously that uses extra fuel, but you can do that as well. Yeah, really good handling, really, really good. The body roll is nearly non-existent in it. May not be fun for those in the back, but you'll have fun up the front. So they are my initial first drive thoughts of the new 408. Time for a bit of a summary. So, very quick look at the all-new 408. There's a full electric version coming. You get night vision probably by the time you can order this car. Now, they say there's enough stock coming in January, so if you want one of these, you'll actually be able to get one. And that makes quite a bit of a difference these days when it comes to buying cars. In terms of the plug-in hybrid, it takes about an hour and a half if you're using a 7.4 wall box to charge. The range is officially 60 kilometers. I feel like you're going to get 45 to 50 kilometers out of a range in pure EV mode. And the battery is 12.4 kilowatt hours, and it's an 81 kilowatt motor that works in combination with the 1.6 petrol if you go for the plug-in hybrid. Get a 1.2 petrol. It's a decent engine, 130 brake horsepower, probably enough for the size of the car. don't go for the plug-in hybrids. If you're doing that, you'll save quite a chunk of change, and you could probably get into a GT version, which is really the one you want. It looks the best. You've got the all-important badge on the side, and you know, such a good-looking car. You might as well get it in Obsession Blue, 1.2 petrol, nice bit of spec, and I think you'd be laughing. So thank you very much for having a look at the all-new Peugeot 408 here in Barcelona, and I'll see you on the next one.